Alright, folks, Acid Roots here. So I'm going to review some more Blood on the Dance Floor. And basically, this project is one of the earliest projects from Blood on the Dance Floor, which is Ice Cream, Ice Cream. It was an EP that came out in 2009. And basically, this is the next project, to my knowledge, that came out after It's Hard to Be a Diamond in a Rhinestone World. Now, that project, when I reviewed that last year, connected with me real well. So I kind of felt like really, they released a deluxe edition of the Rhinestone World album, and I think it had these songs from the EP on there, but I noticed that it's really difficult to get a hold of like the deluxe edition, so I figured let's just go ahead with the EP and review just those specific songs rather than reviewing another project twice. So one of the I thoroughly like this project. I definitely feel like it's a success. It's definitely a well put together EP. Definitely one of the better EPs that I've reviewed, and just in general. But something I do not like about it is the fact that it's only available digitally, and Blood on the Dance Floor is kind of tricky. I've noticed, just because it seems to be rather difficult to get a hold of some of their albums in CD format. And I've noticed I've been trying to find some of these. I probably would have copped this Ice Cream EP if it had cost like, 13 bucks, 17 bucks, something like that. And I would have said, fuck it. Even for 5 songs, when you can get the 5 songs for $1.30, I probably still would have paid the $16 to get it on, CD format. But so virtually there's only 5 songs on this project, but I do feel like most of them are pretty successful, and I'll go ahead and talk about some of those. So at least there were three. I want to say that there were 3 music videos. The ones that Wikipedia says were released as singles were Suicide Club, Sick with the Q, and then Miss Bipolar. So all of those 3 songs are pretty successful. I definitely appreciate them. They have some pretty crunk like and kind of very kind of movement oriented kind of music going along with it. They really feel like they're motivated and, in like a club setting, and kind of ready to get trashed for the night and have some fun. So I appreciate all 3 of those songs. So I'm just going to go ahead, and because it's trickier to get information on Blood on the Dance Floor, somewhat, just because they're kind of off to the side in terms of what people want to say about them, at least in some cases. I feel like I'll just kind of dissect some of these songs, so we'll just kind of get. I mean, this review is not going to be overtly long, but I'm still going to have some enjoyment out of it. So, one of the songs I enjoyed, for example, was, well, really, I liked all 5 of the songs minus one, which was just Up All Night. I guess I'll talk about that. That kind of felt like, um, it kind of had like some youthfulness to it, and by that I mean just kind of like a more choir like chant, something like that. I've seen like POD do that. If you don't know who POD is, they're kind of like a rock band, but they've done a song like that. I don't remember what the song is called, but it's similar to that. Didn't really appreciate it that much. I mean, felt like I know that Blood on the Dance Floor can be positive at times, but that one was more kind of just upright than, what for the most part I would generally take from them. But it's almost like a decent, like, outgoing and social song, but it just has like it was a strange oriented song. But Miss Bipolar was a really stellar one. That one felt like the most gothic and emo song on here, which maybe it isn't, but the concept behind bipolar, it's a popular concept. I like the topic of the song, basically just being sarcastic about a bipolar woman and kind of getting some enjoyment, just kind of a argument relationship type song, that type thing. So that was a fun one. I like the singing on there, definitely. Suicide Club was an interesting song. That was definitely a decent club song. That one and Scream for My Ice Cream had a pretty just like real kind of um, large kind of club feel. I mean, it's pretty solid the way that they just made these kind of songs and kind of had like just the element of being played in places where there's going to be social outings. I definitely like the concept behind that, because it just feels like most musicians are not that obsessed with it, but they made consistent songs on this. And some of these, they're not just like dance clubs where you're going to hear like Kryptonite or Lollipop by Lil Wayne or something, but these are like, places where you'd find goth people and emo folks and that sort of stuff, the alternative sort, as the, supposing there's specific alternative clubs and that sort of thing. It just varies, but I do like the concept of hearing these types of songs in places like that because they have like a certain kind of left field element to them that is respectful because this club music is pretty damn solid. So those two songs, Suicide Club and Scream for My Ice Cream, both feel similar in that sense. And they have some mean hooks on there. They're just real floaty and kind of easy to vibe to kind of songs. And I also like Sick with the Q. This felt kind of like a rap song. This was something I could have heard like a rapper be on in like a social setting. I appreciated the approach on that song, and I would have to say, I mean, yeah, all of these songs just have like a nice. All of these songs have a particular kind of just. The interesting thing about it is how low key that they kind of are, but how well they hit. Because for the most part, when you look online for this sort of music, and it kind of has like an overt biography about some of these folks, and then you realize that some of this music that you hear about it, like when I used to review like Broken Side, I tried to get information about them in terms of like the singles and the music videos and stuff, but it's just difficult. But I did successfully like Broken Side. I pretty much thoroughly enjoyed their first album from 2009, and some of their early works are pretty enjoyable. I mean, it was just, the concept of emo and crunkcore type music was pretty successful, but it's just so small time and niche. It just doesn't get the like the the coverage that it needs. Yeah, so it just doesn't get the coverage that it needs, and it kind of feels like it. I mean, judging by the fact that BOTDF is past their prime years, and so is Broken Side and most of those emo kind of band and groups and musician groups, I feel like, just a small little one-page niche article about them does not cover the true amount that probably they need to see. And really, a lot of this stuff was was largely successful on YouTube, especially. Just the internet took to this sort of music pretty successfully, despite the fact that Blood on the Dance Floor, in terms of critic appeal and like, journalist appeal and some of those folks, they didn't take too kindly to this sort of stuff. But that's kind of what I've noticed. I want to help be a bridge to help get like Blood on the Dance Floor and more of like that sense on like the front page type stuff, despite the controversy that's on. But so yeah, I feel like for me to go ahead and talk, basically, like I said, I liked most of these songs minus Up All Night, but they all really did well. So I'm gonna give this album or this EP a 9 out of 10. Definitely was successful. I'll go ahead and give like the social score a 7, just because I think there were 3 music videos, so they at least tried to promote it. And Jackal Goldkick has sent me messages talking about in the past how he said that like Blood on the Dance Floor actively tries to promote their projects. They don't just drop like surprise projects. They do have like the intention of making sure that the word gets out about some of this stuff. So I do feel like, and especially like in the alternative and emo sense, it's got like some gems that are, gossip worthy and things like that. So there you have it.